Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini Maksane, Assistant Professor in Department of Biochemistry, CGS Medical College and KM Hospital, Mumbai. Today in this session, you will learn about free radicals and antioxidants. Specific learning objectives of this session are that at the end of the session, you should be able to define free radicals, explain oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen centered free radicals with their biological sources, role of free radicals leading to oxidative damage to cell or tissue, lipid peroxidation reactions leading to formation of reactive oxygen species, role of oxidative stress in causation of various diseases. You should be able to define and classify antioxidants, their mechanism of action, and the mechanism of preventive antioxidants, mechanism of chain breaking antioxidants, and clinical significance of antioxidants. Now, what is free radical? A free radical is a molecule or molecular fragment that contains highly reactive one or more unpaired electrons in its outer orbital. The species is termed free because the unpaired electron in the outer orbit is free to interact with surrounding molecules. It can be it can initiate chain reaction. Chain reaction means one radical can generate another free radical. It is represented by a superscript dot. Oxygen radicals are called reactive oxygen species. The term ROS include all unstable metabolites of molecular oxygen that have higher reactivity than oxygen molecule like superoxide radical and hydroxyl radical, and non-radical molecules like hydrogen peroxide. The products of partial reduction of oxygen are highly reactive and create havoc in the living system. Hence, they are also called reactive oxygen species or ROS. These ROS are generated as byproduct of normal aerobic metabolism, but their level increases under stress, which proves to be a basic health hazard. This is the list of various types of free radicals. Free radicals can be reactive oxygen species or reactive nitrogen species. Reactive oxygen species are oxygen ions like singlet oxygen or superoxide anion. Or it can be oxygen containing radicals like hydroxyl radical, hydroperoxyl radical, hydrogen peroxide, and lipid peroxide, etc. Processes causing uncoupling of electron transport can enhance the production of reactive oxygen species. Mitochondria is the major cell organelle responsible for ROS production. It generates ATP through a series of oxidative phosphorylation processes. During this process, one or two electron reduction instead of four electron reduction of oxygen can occur, which can lead to the formation of superoxide and hydrogen peroxide, and these species can be converted to other reactive oxygen species. In electron transport chain, ubiquinone, which accept electron from complex 1 and 2, also form an intermediate radical which is called semiquinone, which can be lead from the membrane to react with oxygen molecule to form superoxide radical. Fmn of complex 1 can also transfer electrons to oxygen to form superoxide radical. However, the role of reactive oxygen species in biological system is entirely dependent on its location, neighbors, and timing. Out of all free radicals, hydroxyl radical is the most dangerous because it is involved in lipid peroxidation reactions. Hydrogen peroxide is not a free radical, but it is very reactive. It can be converted into hydroxyl radical in the presence of various metals like ferrous and cuprous, which are present in cell in large amount. Singlet oxygen is also not a free radical. However, because of their extreme reactivity, they are included in the group of reactive oxygen species. Another type of free radical are reactive nitrogen species. Nitric oxide radical is formed from arginine by the action of nitric oxide synthase. Nitric oxide radical is produced by Nitric oxide is produced during vasodilating processes or during transmission of nerve impulses. In the presence of stressors, nitric oxide is produced by catalytic action of inducible nitric oxide synthase at higher concentration. Nitric oxide can cause damage to protein, lipids, and DNA either directly or after reaction with superoxide radical, which lead to the formation of very reactive peroxynitrate anion. So this is the list of various free radicals. Now, what are the characteristics of free radicals, which can be either reactive oxygen species or reactive nitrogen species? They all are extremely reactive, means they can react with another molecule and can convert it into free radical. Next property is they have short lifespan. Then they can generate new reactive oxygen species or new reactive nitrogen species by free radical chain reaction, which we will discuss in coming slides in detail. And most importantly, they can damage to various tissues, and they can damage the like cell membranes, nucleic acid, various cell organelles, etc. These are some basic definitions, understanding of which will help you to understand this chapter. So the first one is reduction. Reduction means gain of electrons or a loss in oxygen. Next is oxidation. Oxidation means loss of electrons or a gain in oxygen. Third is oxidant. They are reactants that oxidizes or removes electrons from other reactants. Fourth is oxidative stress, which means there is increase in oxidants over the capacity of the antioxidant, which can lead to oxidative damage or oxidative stress. Now next is prooxidant. Prooxidant means any endobiotic or xenobiotic compound that induces oxidative stress either by generation of reactive oxygen species or by inhibiting antioxidant systems. Pesticides, transition metals, mental anxiety, environmental factors like extreme weather, they are all known as prooxidant. Reduction, antioxidant, and oxidation or prooxidant reactions result from a gain or a loss of electron and a loss or a gain in oxygen. Oxidant and prooxidant causes oxidative stress and antioxidants prevent it. Oxidant-antioxidant homeostasis is highly regulated and essential for maintaining cellular and biochemical functions. A change in the balance towards an increase in the oxidant over the capacity of antioxidant defines oxidative stress and can lead to oxidative damage. This slide depicts the molecular structure of various free radicals and normal molecules. So the first one is superoxide anion, second is hydroperoxide radical, third is hydroxyl radical, and these are some normal molecules. Like this is the structure of hydrogen peroxide, this is the structure of oxygen, and this is the structure of hydroxyl ion. So you should be able to differentiate between hydroxyl ion and hydroxyl radical, and also between oxygen and superoxide anion. Now we will discuss how the reactive oxygen species are produced in cells. They are produced in serial manner. First, you need to remind how oxygen is reduced to water in electron transport chain to generate ATP molecules. Oxygen is essential for life. Most intracellular oxidation result in transfer of two electrons to NAD and FAD, which are then oxidized in electron transport chain. The terminal step in oxidation is catalyzed by cytochrome oxidase, which tightly binds oxygen, and oxygen is reduced to water in stepwise manner. Important to remember here is that reduction of oxygen to water requires 4 electrons and 4 H ions to form 2 molecules of water. Oxygen atom accept these 4 electrons one by one, which causes formation of reactive oxygen species intermediates. The sequence of ROS formation is that in first reaction, oxygen accepts one electron to form superoxide radical. This superoxide radical then accepts one electron and two hydrogen ions to form hydrogen peroxide. In next reaction, hydrogen peroxide accepts one electron and one H ion to form one molecule of water and hydroxyl radical, which is the most dangerous radical. Then this hydroxyl radical accept one electron and one H ion to form water molecule. So this is how oxygen is converted into water molecule in electron transport chain. Leaking of electron from electron transport chain can generate reactive oxygen species in the cell by the same mechanism which is shown here in this diagram. The difference is only that reactive oxygen species of complex 4 are not free because they are not free to cause damage because they are tightly bound to complex 4. But the reactive oxygen species produced by leaking of electron, they are free and they can cause damage to the cell. About 4% of oxygen taken up in the body is converted to free radicals. Once superoxide radical is produced, it can initiate formation of other free radical in the same sequence which is shown in this image. Toxic level of oxygen can also lead to the formation of additional ROS. Oxygen can take one electron from metal ion like ferric ion to form superoxide radical. Superoxide radical form hydrogen peroxide which can be converted into hydroxyl radical by Fenton reaction or Haber-Weiss reaction. In Fenton reaction, hydrogen peroxide react with fe- ferrous ion to form one hydroxyl radical, one hydroxyl anion and ferric ion. While in Haber-Weiss reaction, hydrogen peroxide react with superoxide anion and one hydrogen ion to form hydroxyl radical along with one water molecule and oxygen atom. As we have discussed earlier that the major site for ROS production is mitochondria where reactive oxygen species are produced due to leakage of electrons from FMN coenzyme Q. But the reactive oxygen species can also be produced in peroxisome. The function of peroxisome is the breakdown of those fatty acids that are poor substrate for mitochondrial oxidation. Especially they are long chain fatty acids, branch chain fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids. Peroxisomes are involved in either phospholipid and cholesterol biosynthesis, D-amino acid metabolism, bile acid formation, and detoxification of xenobiotics. Peroxisomal degradation of fatty acid is incomplete, most probably because of the preferences of the acetyl coenzyme A oxidase for long-chain fatty acid chain. When the chain length becomes too short, the fatty acid is transported to the mitochondria in a carnitine-dependent way to be further degraded. The peroxisomal oxidation pathway consists of the same reaction steps as the mitochondrial counterpart, but the enzymes involved here in peroxisomes are different. Here, breakdown of fatty acid does not yield ATP. This oxidation produces hydrogen peroxide. So, oxidative stress is generated during the peroxisomal oxidation. During polyunsaturated fatty acid degradation, intermediates are formed that may be susceptible towards oxidation by free radicals, possibly starting a lipid peroxidation. Here in this diagram, you can see that the oxidases present in peroxisome form hydrogen peroxide. This hydrogen peroxide is harmful to the cell. So in the cell, a catalase enzyme is present which convert hydrogen peroxide into water molecule and oxygen molecule. But the metal ions like iron, copper, they are present in abundant amount in the cell. So they can convert hydrogen peroxide into hydroxyl radical by Fenton reaction. So this radical can also be converted into hydroperoxide. Both hydroxyl radical and hydroperoxide, uh, they can cause damage to the peroxisomal lipid membrane and can this there can be the leakage and damage to the cell membrane. Also, this hydrogen peroxide can go into the cytoplasm, where also it can be converted into hydroxyl radical by Fenton reaction, and it can be neutralized by glutathione peroxidase also. So this is how hydroxyl radical, hydroperoxide radical, which are produced in peroxisome and can cause cell as well as peroxisomal membrane. Reactive oxygen species are also generated in phagocytic cells like macrophages, eosinophils, neutrophils, as well as in B and T lymphocytes by the process of respiratory burst. These cells contain an enzyme called NADPH oxidase, which is responsible for the production of reactive oxygen species following an immune challenge. At the onset of an immune response, phagocytic cells increase their oxygen uptake as much as 10 to 20 folds, which is called respiratory burst. The superoxide anion is generated by the enzyme NADPH oxidase, which serve as the starting material for the production of a suite of reactive species. This superoxide anion is converted into hydrogen peroxide with the help of enzyme superoxide dismutase. Hydrogen peroxide is further converted into hydroxyl radical with the help of Fenton reaction, or it can be converted into hypochlorous acid with the help of enzyme myeloperoxidase. During bacterial and other microbial infection, these radicals are produced by inflammatory cells to kill bacteria. In acute infection, this process is very efficient. However, in long-term infection, phagocytes tend to die and release toxic oxygen radicals which affect the surrounding tissue. There are various external sources are also present in the environment which produces free radicals. Cosmic radiation, ingestion of drugs, chemicals, and smoke can also lead to formation of free radicals. Light of appropriate wavelength can produce singlet oxygen. Particulate matter like air pollutants are shown to be ion rich and to increase oxidative stress, providing opportunity for damaging Fenton chemistry to occur and generate hydroxyl radical in the lungs. Cigarette smoke is a complex mixture of numerous free radicals and ROS. It contains nitric oxide radical, nitrogen dioxide, and peroxynitrate. Peroxynitrate possesses a very strong oxidation and nitration capabilities, leading to damage molecules in cells such as DNA and protein. Now, damage is produced by free radicals. Impact of oxidative stress on the organism depend on the type of oxidant, on the site and intensity of its production, on the composition and activities of various antioxidants, and on the ability of repair system. Reactive oxygen species damage almost all major classes of macromolecules in cell. Free radicals can damage membrane lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. Now the first effect on membrane lipids. Free radicals are very reactive. They create free radical chain reaction by reacting with normal compound. They react with polyunsaturated fatty acid of phospholipids present in plasma membrane and organelles membrane by starting lipid peroxidation chain reaction. The cell membrane permeability is altered, which causes influx of calcium and other ions in cells, which causes swelling of cells. Increased cell organelles permeability causes maldistribution of ions in them and affect their functioning. One such example is accumulation of calcium ions in mitochondria induces apoptosis. Second cellular counterpart which is affected by free radical is cellular proteins. Proline, arginine, histidine, and cysteine and methionine are susceptible to attack by hydroxyl ions, which causes fragmentation of proteins, cross-linking and aggregation and loss of function of proteins. Proteins damaged by free radicals are targeted by intracellular proteases. Free radicals also yield products such as malondialdehyde, which has the ability to inactivate many cellular proteins by generating protein cross linkages. So, lipid and proteins are affected by free radicals. Free radicals also affect nucleic acid. Free radical damages DNA of nucleus and mitochondria, resulting in mutation. Mitochondrial DNA is more susceptible to damage because it contains electron transport chain, which is the major source of reactive oxygen species generation. Mitochondrial DNA mutation affect energy metabolism of cell. In nucleus, non-specific binding of ferrous ion causes localized accumulation of hydroxyl radical by Fenton reaction. Free radical react with individual nitrogenous bases of nucleic acid and create strand break. In nuclear DNA, there are histone proteins and DNA repair mechanism which protect it from free radical mediated damage. When these mechanisms of histone protein and DNA repair, they are not effective, the generation will be more and the damage will be more to the cell. Now we will discuss clinical significance of free radical generation. Various chronic inflammatory diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, chronic ulcerative colitis, chronic glomerulonephritis. These diseases are self-continuated diseases due to the free radicals released by neutrophils. Next is acute inflammation. At inflammatory site, activated macrophages produce free radicals as we have discussed during respiratory burst. Next, various eye diseases are also the result of free radical mediated damage. Due to photochemical generation of free radicals in aged people, cataract is formed. In premature infants treated with pure oxygen for a long time, free radical generation causes thromboxane release, sustained vasculature, contracture, and cell injury, which further causes retrolental fibroplasia. Free radicals play a crucial role in atherosclerosis and MI. As you must have learned during lipid metabolism that LDL is susceptible for free radical and is oxidized by free radical. This oxidized LDL is deposited in endothelium and attract macrophages which are converted into foam cells after engulfing lipids and get deposited there to form plaque. Free radicals also produce DNA damage, and accumulated damages lead to somatic mutation and malignancy. Free radicals are also used for cancer radiotherapy, where irradiation of cancer cell produces free radicals and damage cancer cells. Aging. Oxidative stress is present at genetic, molecular, cellular, tissue, and system level of all living beings and is usually manifested as a progressive accumulation of diverse deleterious changes in cells and tissue. With advancing age, that increases the risk of disease and death. Recent studies have shown that with age, reactive oxygen species levels show accumulation in major organs systems such as liver, heart, and brain, and skeletal muscles, either due to the increased production or reduced detoxification of these free radicals. Thus, aging may be referred to as a progressive decline in biological function of the tissue with respect to the time, as well as a decrease in adaptability to different kinds of stress. Oxidative stress theory is presently the most accepted explanation for the aging, which holds that increase in reactive oxygen species lead to functional alteration, pathological conditions, and other clinically observable signs of aging. And finally, death. Various brain diseases like Parkinsonism, Alzheimer's, dementia, multiple sclerosis are mediated by reactive oxygen species. You must have seen brown spots on the skin of older people. These spots are called age spots. These are the products of free radical mediated lipid peroxidation. These brown spots contain pigment lipofuscin, which contains cross-linked lipids and products of lipid peroxidation. So these brown spots are the indication of aging, where lipid peroxidation products are deposited in the on the surface of skin. Reperfusion injury caused by free radicals. Reperfusion injury, which is sometimes called ischemia reperfusion injury or reoxygenation injury, is the tissue damage caused by when blood supply returns to tissue after a period of ischemia or lack of oxygen. It is caused by free radicals. Ischemia occurs when the blood supply is less than the demand required for normal functioning, resulting in deficiency of oxygen, glucose, and other substances which are required for the normal cell metabolism. Derangements in metabolic function begin during the ischemic phase. Initially, glycogen breakdown by mitochondrial anaerobic glycolysis produces two molecules of ATP along with lactic acid, resulting in a decrease in tissue pH. ATP is then sequentially broken down into ADP, AMP, and IMP, which are further converted into adenosine, inosine, hypoxanthine, and xanthine. Decreased pH increases the activity of enzyme xanthine oxidase. When oxygen is reintroduced, activated xanthine oxidase enzyme uses this oxygen to convert xanthine into uric acid. At the same time, superoxide radical is produced, which can start free radical chain reaction. Nitric oxide is converted into peroxynitrate free radical, which causes endothelial activation. Activation of leukocyte causes inflammatory process and lead to further tissue injury. These all events occur in mitochondria of myocyte and apoptosis is induced. This is the diagrammatic representation of reperfusion injury. So here in the red area you can see what happens in ischemia. During the ischemic condition there is a lack of oxygen. So in that condition ATP is generated by anaerobic glycogenolysis, and these ATP molecules are further degraded into ADP, IMP, then hypoxanthine and xanthine. Also during glycogenolysis, lactic acid is produced. This lactic acid decreases the pH of tissue, and low pH activate the enzyme xanthine oxidase. Xanthine oxidase is activated, substrate hypoxanthine and xanthine is also available. So what happens when oxygen is supplied to this ischemic tissue? This oxygen is utilized by xanthine oxidase to convert hypoxanthine and xanthine into uric acid. At the same time, superoxide anion or radical is produced. And as you know, the superoxide radical can be further converted into hydrogen peroxide and hydroxyl radical, which can cause lipid peroxidation, and it can cause endothelial activation also. And all these processes can further damage the tissue. So this is called reperfusion injury. Respiratory diseases caused by free radicals. Various exogenous factors like hyperoxia, cigarette smoking, air pollutant, drugs can cause exposure or generation of free radicals in lungs and can cause respiratory diseases. Toxic levels of oxygen lead to the formation of additional ROS, which can impose damage to lipid membranes, proteins, and nucleic acids. The alveolar epithelial and alveolar capillary endothelial cells are vulnerable targets for oxygen-free radical-induced injury. In acute lung injury caused by hyperoxia, permeability of the pulmonary capillary endothelium vasculature increases, which causes flooding of alveolus with plasma, leading to pulmonary edema, and abnormalities in the coagulation and fibrinolysis pathway promoting fibrin deposition in lung. The formation of fluid in the lung causes a feeling of shortness of breath. The reason for this effect in lungs but not in other tissue is that the air spaces of lungs are directly exposed to the high oxygen pressure. Alveolar epithelial cells are injured by oxygen-free radicals, leading to impairment of surfactants phospholipid production. In premature infants, prolonged exposure to oxygen causes bronchopulmonary dysplasia, and in adults, free radical causes pulmonary inflammation, promotes alveolar wall destruction, emphysema, and acute respiratory distress syndrome. So this is how free radicals can cause damage to lungs. Now, what is lipid peroxidation? Lipid peroxidation is a process under which oxidants such as free radicals attack lipids containing carbon-carbon double bonds, especially polyunsaturated fatty acids present on cell membranes. In this process, hydrogen is removed from a carbon and oxygen is inserted, resulting in the formation of lipid peroxyl radical and hydroperoxides. The overall process consists of three phases. First is initiation, second is propagation, and third one is termination. In the initiation step, pro-oxidants like hydroxyl radical remove the hydrogen from PUFA. So here you can see this is polyunsaturated fatty acid, and from polyunsaturated fatty acid a hydrogen ion is removed by free radical and a carbon centered radical, lipid radical is formed, which means free electron is present on carbon atom of PUFA. In this phase, lipid peroxides can also react with free metal ion to form lipid peroxyl radical. So in initiation phase, carbon centered radical is produced, or lipid peroxyl radical can also be produced in initiation phase. In propagation phase, what happens? Carbon centered radical. So here the rearrangement also take place. This radical is shifted on the another carbon atom of the polyunsaturated fatty acid. In the propagation phase, what happens? A carbon centered radical rapidly react with oxygen molecule to form lipid peroxyl radical. This is lipid peroxyl radical. You can see the oxygen atom is inserted here to form lipid peroxyl radical, which can act on another lipid polyunsaturated fatty acid molecule. Now here it is reacting with another polyunsaturated fatty acid molecule to form another carbon center radical, and it itself get converted into lipid peroxide. This lipid peroxide can then enter in step 1 of initiation to be converted into lipid peroxyl radical. So this is how one lipid radical react with another neighboring lipid molecule to generate another free radical in lipid membrane, which causes destruction of membrane architecture. In termination phase, this is the last phase, what happens? Antioxidants like vitamin E donate a hydrogen atom. Here you can see this is the step 4 where antioxidant donate a hydrogen ion to free radical. So, so here the uh, antioxidant donate hydrogen ion to free radical to form corresponding vitamin E radical, and a inactive molecule is also formed here. Now this vitamin E radical can react with another free radical, peroxyl radical, to form non-radical product, or it can react with vitamin C and get reconverted into its original form, which we will discuss in later slides. So here you can see in termination phase what happens. The various types of radicals can react with another free radical to generate inactive products. Here, the carbon center radical react with another carbon center radical to form this inactive product. Lipid peroxyl radical can react with another lipid peroxyl radical, or lipid peroxyl radical can react with a carbon center radical to form these inactive products. The main primary products of lipid peroxidation are lipid hydroperoxide, among the many different aldehydes which can be formed as secondary products during lipid peroxidation. Malondialdehyde appear to be the most mutagenic product of lipid peroxidation. It is widely used for many years as a convenient biomarker for lipid peroxidation of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So this is the process of lipid peroxidation. Now, what is antioxidant? Antioxidants are substances which protect us against potentially harmful free radicals derived from oxygen. To combat the injurious effect of free radicals, our body has its own system of in vivo antioxidants. In normal healthy state, a balance is usually maintained between free radicals and antioxidants. Moreover, we can also supplement these from outside sources. So antioxidant is a defense mechanism. They are actually reducing agent which can inactivate free radicals. So anything that can prevent the generation of ROS or inhibit oxidation by inactivating ROS are called antioxidants. Now, classification of antioxidants. Antioxidants are divided into two major categories, enzymatic and non-enzymatic, which are usually distributed within the cytoplasm and various cell organelles. Enzymatic antioxidants are mainly peroxidase, catalase, superoxide dismutase, and non-enzymatic antioxidants are further divided into four categories. They can be vitamins, they can be metal ion, they can be flavonoids, and other components like glutathione, NADPH, methionine, cysteine, uric acid, ubiquinol. We will discuss all these antioxidants in detail in coming slides. Based upon their action, antioxidants can be further divided into two major categories. First is preventive antioxidants, and second is chain breaking or scavenging antioxidants. Preventive antioxidants inhibit the initial production of free radicals, means they don't allow the production of antioxidant. The example of preventive antioxidants are enzymes like catalase, glutathione, and peroxidase. They can be binding proteins like transferrin and ceruloplasmin. Transferrin bind with ferrocyan, and ceruloplasmin bind with copper ion so that they are not available to generate free radical. As we know that these metal ions are used in Fenton and Haber-Weiss reaction to generate free radical, hydroxyl radical. Second category is chain breaking antioxidant. These antioxidants inhibit the propagative phase of lipid peroxidation. They can be enzymes like superoxide dismutase. They can be vitamins like vitamin E, C, and A, and they can be other components like uric acid. Antioxidant enzymes. There are major three enzymes like catalase, peroxidase, and superoxide dismutase. Superoxide dismutase is present in all oxygen metabolizing cells. It gets induced in case of superoxide overproduction. Superoxide dismutase contain manganese, copper, and zinc as a cofactor. It converts superoxide anion into more stable hydrogen peroxide. Here you can see that this superoxide anion converts superoxide anion into hydrogen peroxide, which is a more stable product. It is also involved in respiratory burst, as we have discussed in earlier slide. Next one is catalase. As we have discussed earlier that catalase is present in peroxisome of hepatocytes. It can also be present in mitochondria and cytosol of erythrocytes. It is a tetramer with heme group and NADPH. It have high affinity for hydrogen peroxide. It prevents the accumulation of hydrogen peroxide in peroxisome and prevent the free radical mediated damage which can be caused by hydrogen peroxide. It is continuously produced, the hydrogen peroxide is continuously produced by various normal metabolic reaction. So this catalase enzyme converts hydrogen peroxide into water molecule. Next enzyme is glutathione peroxidase. This is a preventive antioxidant enzyme which is present throughout the cell. It acts on hydrogen peroxide to convert it into water molecule. For this conversion of hydrogen peroxide to water molecule, it uses reduced glutathione, two molecules of reduced glutathione, and during the reaction, reduced glutathione is converted into oxidized glutathione. So this oxidized glutathione should be converted back into reduced form for the action of glutathione peroxidase. So the oxidized glutathione is converted into reduced glutathione with the help of NADPH. So NADPH is converted into NADP. At the same time, oxidized glutathione is converted into reduced glutathione, and this reduced glutathione is utilized for the conversion of hydrogen peroxide into water molecule with the help of enzyme glutathione peroxidase. Vitamin E and C as an antioxidant. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant vitamin. It is the most effective naturally occurring chain-breaking antioxidant and is primary defender against effects of free radicals in the body. It protects components of cell and their membrane from destruction by free radicals. Cells exposed to the highest amount of oxygen like the cells which are rich in mitochondria seem to have traces of vitamin E, which is also known as tocopherol, which is required to protect polyunsaturated fatty acids of cell membrane. In this process, the tocopherol is consumed and shall be replenished through diet. Alpha tocopherol intercept peroxyl radical and thus prevent a chain reaction of lipid peroxidation. Here you can see that this is the process of lipid peroxidation as we have discussed earlier. This is the initiation phase where R-centered carbon-centered lipid radical is produced. Then in propagation phase, this carbon-centered radical is converted into peroxyl radical. So this is the termination phase where this lipid peroxyl radical react with vitamin E tocopherol and it convert peroxyl radical into lipid peroxide, which is the inactive product, or In this process, vitamin E itself get converted into tocoal radical. This tocoal radical now react with vitamin C. So this tocoal radical is again converted into its normal vitamin E form, and vitamin C is converted into vitamin C radical. This vitamin C is again converted into its normal form with the help of glutathione and NADPH. Vitamin C has the ability to donate hydrogen atom or electron very easily when they are needed and form a ascorbyl free radical which is relatively stable. It helps to reactivate vitamin E and has the ability to recycle themselves over and over again. It also protects oxygen and iron from oxidation. Beta carotene, a precursor of vitamin E, is also having antioxidant property. Beta carotene is a water soluble precursor of vitamin A. It is an antioxidant in itself. Vitamin A has no antioxidant activity. Beta carotene can quench singlet oxygen and can combine with peroxyl radical and stabilize it. So this is the action of antioxidant activity of beta carotene. Now minerals as an antioxidant. Zinc and selenium also act as antioxidants. Zinc is required for the activation of antioxidant enzymes like superoxide dismutase and catalase. It also activates glutathione. It reduces the activities of nitric oxide synthase and NADPH oxidase, which are oxidant promoting enzymes, and inhibits lipid peroxidation. Selenium, it also act as an antioxidant. It is essential trace mineral. It is found in glutathione peroxidase, which is a free radical scavenging enzyme. It destroys peroxides and thus protects lipid membranes. It acts as an immune modulator. This is the list of some other antioxidants. First one is coenzyme Q, which helps in regeneration of vitamin E, which act as a chain-breaking antioxidant. It is located on lipid membranes. NADPH or glutathione, as we have discussed earlier, that they help in the activity of peroxidases. Glutathione peroxidases can only act in the presence of reduced glutathione, and glutathione uh, is from oxidized to reduce glutathione. For conversion of oxidized glutathione into reduced glutathione, NADPH is required. So this is how NADPH and glutathione helps peroxidases to exert antioxidant properties of them. Cysteine and methionine. Cysteine chiefly work as a free radical scavenger, where the methionine mainly act as a metal chelator. Cerebroplasmin and transferrin we have already discussed. They keep copper and ions in the bind form, so that they are not free for the Fenton and Haber-Weiss reaction. They reduces the availability of transition metal ions. Albumin, it also acts as a sequester for heme and copper ion. Uric acid and bilirubin, they are metabolic products which scavenges hydroxyl radical and peroxyl radical respectively. Now flavonoids as antioxidant. What is flavonoid? Flavonoids comprise a large heterogeneous group of benzopyrene derivative which are present in fruits, vegetables, and herbs. They are secondary plant metabolites, and more than 4,000 molecular species have been described. Flavonoids exert a positive health effect in cancer and neurodegenerative disorders owing to their free radical scavenging activities. Sometimes they are also referred to as super antioxidants. They have ability to attach to cell and their proteins for up to 72 hours, protecting them from oxidation and free radical damage. One of the most abundant natural flavonoid present in a large number of fruits and vegetables is quercetin. They can prevent oxidative injury and cell death by scavenging free radicals, donating hydrogen compound quenching singlet oxygen and preventing lipid peroxidation or chelating metal ions. Red wines also have a high content of phenolic substances including catechin and resveratrol, which are responsible for the antioxidant action, anti-inflammatory, anti-atherogenic property, estrogenic growth promoting factor, and immunomodulation. Recently, the potential of resveratrol as an anti-aging agent is in treating age-related human disease has also been proven. Thank you very much for listening this video. I hope now you are able to describe what is free radical, what is antioxidant, how free radicals are generated, what is lipid peroxidation, what is lipid peroxidation chain reaction, what are the different types of antioxidant, how they act, etc.